Okay, now we are live.
And do we have audio? Because that's been a problem
Yeah,
lately.
that's a great idea to check.
Yeah.
We won't know for a few seconds. Let's see if we
Okay.
have audio. See if we can hear my dog in the background. Hello to everybody joining
Yes.
us.
Hi, we're here. We just want to make sure that this is not going to be another
Okay, now we are live.
technical malfunction. Wow, that delay is gnarly
And do we have
today.
We do have audio though.
Woo!
So we're
Hello,
in.
everybody. I am Chloe.
And I'm Sandy and this is WordStitch.
This is WordStitch. Yeah. So this is our first WordStitch after Nano.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to be talking today about we're going to be talking about what we've done this last year because it is that time of year where we do little recaps. But we are still writing.
Mm-hmm.
So really quickly, Sandy, what are you working on today? And is it your nano project? Not even
Okay,
a little bit.
I am still working on the Nano project today, but not during this session. So this session is one of my books for like my actual name. It's a fun one. It is called Lizzie Dupree and the Thousand Year Crush, um, and it's YA sci-fi romance. So it's like really fun for me to write, and it's
Yeah.
been a huge relief. And I already have like
I'm
2,600 words
I'm
written.
excited for this because I already know Lizzie.
Yeah, right.
And I
Um,
feel like I also know her crush, right?
You do. The first book,
Yeah.
the Stella Rose Gold for Eternity, was about her crush.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that. I haven't read it yet
yeah,
because
yeah, because you've been a little
our
busy.
lives are both chaos right now,
Hmm.
and we were doing a lot of beta reading and line editing for each other, and we kind of fell out of that, but we decided to stop doing that because we keep messing up. So I will be doing some line editing for Lizzie Dupree and the Thousand Year
Or
Crush.
at least for the Angel book, we'll see. We'll see what I can
Right.
use your
I'll have to read
time
the
for
first Angel
best.
book first,
Yeah,
though.
you might want the Angel book first.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
okay, so what are you working on today?
So I am still working on A Christmas Demon for Clara, which
Okay.
is my nano project. It is now like already on pre-order on Amazon to
Yay!
be, yes, it will be available on the 10th, which means I have to have this edit done by the 6th.
Oh,
So I am in crunch time right now, and I have discovered that my first edit was not nearly as clean as I was hoping it was because
oh.
I have been quite sick. My brain is less foggy than it has been,
Mm,
though, and I am starting the new edit today. I'm about 20% in, and I am hoping to get to 40%
nice.
today. Yes.
Okay. So you got a somewhat aggressive editing goal. I need like 3,000 words today. What is so ironic about this is I actually believe I can do 3,000 a day. But like last week when I was trying to finish my freaking nano project, I couldn't get 1,000 words done. So go figure.
Yeah.
Like apparently I am highly motivated by
Yeah.
intrinsic motivation and not so much by extrinsic. I think there's a
It's
personality
okay.
type for that.
Um, I think
We're not
after we
preparing for
come
it.
back from the first word sprint, which we'll start in 2 minutes, but after we get back from that, I think we should talk just a little bit about Nano specifically and how we feel about
Sure.
Nano 2019 personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how we feel about it going into 2020
What,
also.
yes,
Because
and what
that
our
would be good.
failures and what our successes were with Nano, and because even though you feel like you had no successes, you did. You just got to figure out what they were.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
I have
everybody.
at least two. All right. But so we're going into our first writing thing. Since this is not nano and we did like the word prompts and everything last month, I don't have word prompts today. It is a
Yeah,
clean
yeah, we don't need
blank
word prompts. We
slate.
don't need no stinking word prompts. If any of you are old enough to remember, I believe that was the great Cheech Marin. That quote came from. I couldn't possibly up in smoke, perhaps. I don't remember. Anyways, let's go ahead and do this 10-minute now, and we'll see you guys at, oh, there it is, perfect timing. We'll see you guys at quarter after, and we'll do a bit of talking about Nano.
Okay, we are back.
There, now I'm back. I had too many windows open.
It's all right. And if you're joining us today, hopefully you are getting some editing or writing done. That was. Oh, I just switched it to a random picture, not of you, Chloe. Sorry.
Perfect.
That was. I think that was like weird calculations of timeline and stuff. Um, so where's the thing that shows me how many words I got? Ah, here we go. 237 words for me today so far. That's good.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that's great. On a 10-minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, if only I'd been able to achieve this with Nano.
Right.
How about
So,
you?
so that takes us to our topic for this break.
Yes, it does.
The goods and the bads of Nano. For
Yes.
you personally.
Okay. Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah. So let me start with the question. Are you glad that you did Nano this year?
Oh, that's really tricky actually for me this year.
Sorry, I made this tricky.
No. Okay,
Do
so
you, do you regret signing up for Nano this
to be
year?
totally honest, I kind of do. I think that like, and I've never felt this way before. So if you're watching, for the record, I think Nano is awesome in most situations. But this year, um, I really wanted to finish it, and I had kind of a icky personal tragedy, and I wasn't able to think very clearly. So like for me then something like what, like a week into Nano or something, my Nano was like catapulted
Yeah.
into catastrophe. And then I tried really hard to keep writing, but it turns out that for me when I am like really, really devastated, I can't write very well. So like it was an exercise in pushing myself to do something that I really wasn't capable of right then. And I think without Nano, I might have just given myself a couple of weeks to rest. And like I might have been like, you know what, this is not working right now. And I'm actually kind of glad that like later in the month I didn't like try to finish something that would have ended up being terrible. Because one thing that has happened for me in the past is I end up with like Nano projects that are 50,000 words, but if they're not good words, then they're pointless, and it could take me years to fix a project like that. Whereas if it's just like good words to begin with, it could take me a couple weeks to finish. So yeah, I a little bit regret that I did it, but I suppose I learned a lesson from that. What about you, Chloe? Are you glad you did Nano this year?
So the funny thing is that I feel like my answer is the opposite.
Hmm.
Um, I I think I am officially at the point where I've learned everything there is for me to learn from Nano.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. And again, just like you said, this is a personal statement, and I am 100% Nano all the time. As you know, I am an ML, and that statement certainly isn't me saying that I am stepping down. I have no intentions of ever doing that. I love Nano. I just feel like I've gotten everything that I could get out of it writing wise.
Yeah,
Now, the social aspect
that's different.
is always good,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that like this year, my region is a lot stronger than it's been. I think actually, as much as everybody's been cursing the new website, that new website has actually brought people into my region because everybody was forced to like pick their region again. So between that and just the fact that like the region, I've actually been there for the last 3 years, so finally like people are just slowly coming back. um so like the social aspect, like I definitely need more social interaction in my writing. I need that village, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So from that aspect, I think that Nano is still a good thing for me to do, even though the actual like the 50,000 words is meaningless to me now.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Because that's interesting, right? For you, you basically doubled it, right? And for me, I like barely made it to a quarter
yeah,
of
I finished the 70,000 word novel in 17 days.
right.
Yeah.
A quarter was not right for me. I ended up getting like 28,000. But yeah,
Mm,
so you doubled and I halved what like the Nano requirements were.
yeah.
and for neither of us
This
did
was a
this.
really bad month for you
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, it
So
really
this
was.
certainly is not a gauge for your typical writing.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So like I'm starting this new project. I'm looking at my word count right now. I started it today. It's supposed to be like a 25,000 word novel. Like my job today is 6,667 words. If I had managed to pull that off over like just even the last 3 days of Nano, I'd have I'd have
Yeah.
beat Nano, no problem, right? And
Yeah.
it's December 2nd. It's been what? A day? And I am confident that I can do this over the next 3 days for
Mhm.
this story. So that's so interesting, right? Because it means that really like Nano is so great for teaching, but like I do agree with you. I think there's a point at which like your own methods become strong enough that like those sort of like artificial nano deadlines aren't, they either
Which is,
don't teach you or they aren't as helpful.
which is great.
Yeah.
You stop going to school eventually because you no longer need it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying like school in general. I feel like we can always educate ourselves, but like,
But maybe we're out of middle school and like we're in like
yeah,
freshman year of high
um,
school. Yeah.
there there is a point where you stop taking, certain classes because you don't need those classes anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's great that that does ultimately happen. I think that it actually like speaks for Nano that it can happen, but also and not to like put words in your mouth, but I think that like part of the contrast between the two of us with Nano this year was that you also did not have the social aspect.
Yeah. Totally
Uh,
true.
so we just
Yes.
have very different Nano experiences.
Yeah. Now, I would normally be the kind of person who would go out and find those write ins. And this year I did not, even when, like, I thought that, even when I was trying to find socialization, I didn't go out for that. Um, and that's also an interesting thing because for me, I find the nano socialization amazing in some
Yeah.
ways, but like, it I do think that like after you've done it for so many years, it starts to feel like if you're there to teach other people.
Yeah.
And
It's hanging out and with middle schoolers.
yeah,
It
exactly.
is in no way insulting
No.
people who are new. But again, it's that like if we compare it to music, there is a point where you stop taking violin lessons if you were a violinist. There is a point where there's really just like practice, your own personal practice, but you're probably not going to have a teacher anymore. Um, and we're on that side of it, whereas a lot of people who participate in Nano are just picking up a bow for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So you get
Yeah.
people who are like they've never completed a novel. They have no hope of completing it. This is like they're hoping to get to 50,000. It's not about finishing the story. Like, they just need words on the page. They're not thinking about what those words necessarily mean. It's
Yeah.
and more importantly for us, they're not thinking about publishing those words, right? Because for the vast majority of nano participants, the whole point is just to be able to say you've written a novel, whereas like for us, we're trying to write novels and get paid for it. So it's right trying being the
I saw the
keyword.
pre-order today.
Yes. But no, I do. I think that's totally. I'm so glad I've done nano for years. I will admit,
Yeah.
I don't. I think this might have been my last nano year. Like this might be my like, what's the word for it? My Waterloo, and the place where I kind of go. It's no longer helpful. It could have been hurtful. Like if I had stressed about winning nano, I think I'd have ended up with a story I hated, and that
Yeah.
could have killed a series that's like important to me. So I couldn't afford that, right? Like
Yeah.
I had to do. I feel like I had to amputate something in like November, and if I had fought to win nano, I wouldn't have amputated it and I'd have died. That's my analogy right now. I'm sticking to it. It is 424.
That is so terrible.
I
What a
know.
depressing analogy.
I
On
know. I
that
know. I
note,
don't know where that
um,
came from.
you guys watching should write some happy stuff or something.
I
Don't
definitely
don't
don't follow my example.
yeah, don't chop off anybody's legs unless, they're already gangrenous and it's time to go.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna write for 25 minutes and we're gonna come back and
talk
and
about
go
something
a
else.
little bit further back in time and talk about like what we've done this year from the beginning. So brace yourself for that. I don't know if you remember what you were doing in January of 2019, but we're going back. Okay, go ahead and start, guys. We'll see you in 25 minutes.
Okay, we are back.
Hey,
Yes.
how'd you do?
Um. There it is. I use it so often, I just didn't even see it where I said it. 772 words.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's.
You'll get your 3K.
I don't know if I'll get the 3K, but I think I might be able to get to 25. And that.
You'll get it today.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
today I need to get the 6,667.
And where are you at now?
Total, I am at 3,650.
So you
So
need to get pretty much exactly 3,000.
if I, yes,
Yeah.
from here to the rest of the night, which is doable. So that's
Yeah.
that is possible. All right, all right. So we talk about where we've come from.
Yes.
Okay, you were doing a good job asking the questions. You want to ask a question?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I feel like for both of us, we've kind of started the year at the same place and ended the year at the same place, but our journeys have been different.
Oh, they totally were. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Mostly because I was behind you by a couple of months, but also like hiccups along the way
Oh,
and whatnot.
well, and in fairness, that was because I am a what would be the right word? What way to put it? A reckless optimist who doesn't understand fear of failure. No, I totally understand it, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to risk more fear of failure
I,
than you were initially.
I feel like you straddle a really funny line
I
though.
probably do.
Yeah. That like you have that reckless nature, but you also have a bit of a defeatist nature.
Oh, well, because I really do strongly think that, like, you have to live in both worlds as a writer, right? Like, you can't, you have to both believe that you're freaking brilliant, right? That, like, you can do this, that you are the one who can make this happen. And then you also have to know that actually your writing, like, kind of sucks a little bit and it still needs work.
I feel like I'm right down the middle as a realist.
I guess that's probably true.
Yeah. Okay, so that being said, what were you doing January of this year?
Okay, so in January of this year, I was coming off of my first self-published novel, and it had been a flop. Like I'd been able, actually it hasn't. It's
Oh
still
yeah,
the most sales I've ever made, but
so
like,
that was in 2018. Sassafras,
yes, it was November.
2018.
Yes,
Okay.
and my
Oh, that's right. Okay.
right, and my good friend Chloe had told me that I should like look into this 20 books to 50K thing, and I totally ignored her. And then in like December, it's
I
totally
even
true.
like set her the guidebook
Yeah,
for
you
it.
did. So in December, I started looking into it and discovered that there were like basically I've done everything wrong. So in January, I was like at okay. So the whole like YA thing didn't go like I wanted it to go. I need to learn this skill set. And I had started a pen name that like was to serve as my experimental like this is how I'm going to learn how to do this, and who knows, maybe it'll actually work kind of thing. So that was my first Wesley Ash thing, and so in January then I drafted my first novella. He made pasta. I like wrote that in a couple weeks. I like
So,
stuck it up
uh,
online.
don't let you go, never let you go. What's the name of that one? I don't know why I always forget the name of
Won't
that.
let you go.
Won't let you go. Thank you. That was already written at that point. Is that correct?
It was pseudo written. It
Okay.
needed work. I spent most of
Drafted.
February on like working on that. Yeah, but no. So he made pasta was my first one, and that
Okay.
was so that's where I started from. That one little novella.
Said drop things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? Where were you in January?
So, you know, the funny thing is that, like, there is a chunk of time that I think I'm missing. No, no, that's not true at all. I believe January. So, January was right around when we discovered the concept of reader magnets.
Yes, it was.
Neither of us had ever heard of this before, and I think it was you who who discovered it. And I, yes. The last time I modified Talia, the Scrivener file, was the end of January. So that was exactly what I did. So we had discussed putting out reader magnets, and I believe you already, oh, that was what you wrote.
That was He Made
He Made
Pasta.
Biscuits for. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I put
So
out at the very end of January. Yeah.
yes. So that is what you did. I wrote Talia, which of course turned out way too long, as is my way.
It wasn't too long. You just think it is.
I feel like it was too long for a reader magnet.
Maybe.
It didn't need to be that long. Anyways, um, so that was what I did. And that I did not actually. I finished writing it. I wrote that thing in like 2 weeks. Really proud of myself for that. It was like the first time that I ever like given myself a deadline and had something turned out in a short period of time. I wrote it extremely quickly. That being said, it is a erotic telling of a fairy tale, and it is very much a scene for scene for that fairy tale. So I was not coming up with a plot. I was just making it not offensive as fairy tales are. The one I picked was quite rapey, as again they
I
are.
think you softened that a
So,
bit.
yeah, so I had to soften that quite a bit, and I had to write an evil queen character, which I've never done before, and I've really never like replicated that evil character since. So hopefully I'll get that figured out eventually. Anyways, so I wrote that and had it edited. I did not have it out for reader magnets until March, though.
Yeah, which was this is a difference between how we did things, right? Because I
Mhm.
put mine right out, but I do think that we can say that like as far as like things going well goes for both of us, that was the first time that we wrote like full, well, not novel length, right, but like full
Mhm.
stories in a couple of
In a
weeks.
deadline, yeah.
Yeah,
We
and
can do
like
deadlines
we
now.
do deadlines, yeah,
Yeah.
and like actually figured out how to like put them out onto the internet for
Mhm.
people to sample and see. So
Oh yeah, we can do book covers now.
we can do book
Yeah.
covers. We can. Do you remember my first book cover? The He Made Pasta one
Oh yeah.
with like
That
the
was weird.
noodles. It
That's
was
okay.
horrible. It was horrible. It
Yeah.
attracted people,
It
but
looked like,
it was
oh wait,
awful.
no. Am I thinking of the right one? No, I'm thinking of the one that you got on Fiverr that literally looked like a cookbook
Oh,
cover.
that was bad too. Yeah, that was even worse.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, so right. So we learned how to like that was creating ebooks. That was doing covers. That was
Yeah,
like
we did a lot in the beginning of the year. We
totally
also learned newsletters, and we learned
newsletters.
that MailChimp is terrible. And if you
Yes.
are just starting out, I don't know if MailChimp gets better if you like learn how to do all this stuff. But as a beginner, MailChimp is terrible, and you should do MailerLite.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But
Yeah,
we both started with MailerChimp, right? So like it
yeah,
was,
we both went down that rabbit hole, and we
yeah,
both regretted it.
yeah, indeed, indeed. No, well, so there's another thing, right? Like we learned about getting subscribers and having people unsubscribe, and like, it's sort
Yeah.
of the hell of
And we
like,
learned to actually be happy when people unsubscribe, because if you don't want to be here, get the fuck off my list. It's expensive.
that is funny. I am still not
Yeah.
happy when people unsubscribe. But yeah,
Okay.
so I think those are all successes. That was
Yeah.
a lot of like logistical stuff to figure out.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay. So
let's.
it is time for our 30-minute sprint.
Okay,
I don't know what we're going to talk about after
we've
this.
got more year to come up. That was just like January, February, March.
Oh, it was. It was.
Okay, let's
Um,
write for now.
for some reason I can't click my share button. There we go. Okay. So we will see you guys at about half past the hour. Sandy, we're back.
Yes, time to add up the...
I am back. I'm walking away just a second.
Okay, that's all right. I'm calculating.
And now I'm for real back.
Okay. Oh, that was good. That was 1,031 for me.
I am at page 42 of 127. So I am
Nice.
Getting toward my goal. What is my goal? Let me see what my actual page. Oh, hey, I'm under 60,000.
I love how your goal is always to like decrease the words.
Well, I wanted it to be like 50, and that's not going to happen. But I'm at 59,998 right now, so I'm literally 2 words under 60. I don't know. I feel like editing should always be there should always be a goal of decreasing words in edit, unless you have to get rid of or you have to add scenes.
Yeah.
Like of what's actually written, the scenes that actually exist, I feel like you should always be making those shorter, because there's always going to be excess words in them.
I agree with you, but I also almost always end up increasing my word count in editing, and it's not because I don't take stuff out. It's because that's where I do my best work, adding in like any description whatsoever that might be vivid.
Gotcha. I am an over describer. I will like panic and go way too far on descriptions.
So you're trying to take it out.
Although also I have been having an issue lately of like not having enough descriptions. But if I don't have those descriptions in the rough draft, they're never going to happen.
Ooh,
There's a couple things, like I will occasionally put a note in, like with this particular one, their crazy ass house. I put in a note to describe it later. I basically had like an initial description of it looking like the soundstage for the Addams Family, but no actual architectural terms, because I didn't want to do the research at the time.
Nice.
So if it is like a research-based description, then I will save that for later.
Yeah, no, I have a tendency to focus on like dialogue and action. So like if I'll go back and be like, wow, here's this like place. Like, where are they? Is this like a completely existential play or something? Like, I better give the reader some sense of what's going on in my head. So this is an interesting thing though. So this year, are there things about your writing that have changed significantly? Somebody is calling. I'm sorry.
For my writing, I would say
drat. Okay. That might be the UPS.
UPS guy. I will talk while you talk to the UPS guy.
All right. Thank you.
I think that's a good question, though, because we always change as writers. Everything you do, you're a little bit different. Even you could see with like, top writers out there, their style certainly changes over the years. If you look at, I don't know, I feel like Nora Roberts my go-to, because I did like geek out on her for a long time, but if you look at her current stuff, like there are those lines where she will never change some of her books, but like she definitely has like new stuff now. So yeah, we have to change. But for me, I don't know that my change is so much in the writing style as it is the fact that I've just been writing shorter stuff this year. So like the stuff that I would have been doing in years previous would have been longer and therefore more serious and more strictly edited. I feel like though, so like if I take something that hasn't been published yet, that is certainly on like the back burner, that I would like to get back to someday, that's Girlfriend by the Hour. I feel like if I pick that back up again, I'll be able to replicate what I'm doing with that, even though like what I'm doing right now isn't in any way comparable to it, even though it's the same genre.
So, okay, so obviously I missed the beginning of that, and that
Yeah.
could be you
That's
pay a
okay, because
story.
I went on a ramble about how every author changes their style over time.
Oh, I think they do. Although so I mean, Girlfriend by the Hour. Having read various things that you've written, I I don't know. Has your style changed significantly?
So, like what we were just talking about with description, like
Yeah.
there is very tight description in that book. Those words are very well and like deliberately chosen.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really good
Um,
story.
and that world is like a much more detailed world, especially considering that it is contemporary world. So I wasn't even building from scratch necessarily, whereas like I've been doing a lot more fantasy lately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would say that is a much cleaner world, and not just because it is the real world, but because I really um, put the effort into building those, and the characters are stronger characters.
Yeah, I mean, so, and this is definitely something to think about, right? Is we're writing so fast that like a little bit you have to decide where your quality is going to be sacrificed. So it's
I feel like that has to do with who your readers are.
yeah, totally. And
Like I will have the same readers for Girlfriend by the Hour, but I doubt that they will, and this is not a criticism of them at all, but I doubt that they will like fully appreciate the craft that went into that one.
they might not. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, I knew going into it, it was my first stab at this stuff. Um, so it's okay if it's not, if my readers just see it as another contemporary erotic romance. Um, but it's certainly like the nuances of it are certainly much, whatever the word is, much more there. Yeah, I forgot how to word. How about you, since I'm rambling now?
So I mean, I think probably my writing has just improved over the last year because I do think that like with every book that you write your stuff gets better, not
Hmm.
necessarily like that you started terrible or something as a writer that any of us do, but that like you know
You always get better. We can
yeah,
go back to the violin analogy.
yeah, right. I mean
Yeah.
there's been I've written hundreds of thousands of words this year. The later ones are just straight up better, but
Yeah.
there's also been so like I've learned various things about my writing that have been important changes. Stuff like um, I should never end a story on a cliffhanger, or at least like
What? Why is
at
that?
least I should never end it on a will they get together cliffhanger.
Oh, well, yeah. If you're writing romance, you're
Yeah, you
not
can't
supposed
do
to
that.
do that.
People hate that, and I've
People get real mad about
like
that.
really mad.
Yeah.
It's a like none of this is gonna happen, and like you are ruined kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think I've I've learned that first person writing is a lot easier for me than
It is.
third person. So like when I want something to be really amazing, I do it in third person. When I want it to be fast, I do it in first person.
Mhm.
I have learned that I do my best writing when I'm really into the character, like when I can really feel like what they're like. And if I can't, then I might as well not be writing. Like if I can't get into that character's head, then it's just
Yeah.
it's BS that I shouldn't bother with. And YA is significantly harder than romance for me to write. So much harder, and I love it more. I do. I'm always happier with those stories, but I like if I have to read one of my stories later, I want to read the YA. But
I mean, it's just a more intricate genre.
it's
At the end of the day, like you have to develop um so much further down the line with it. Even like with
yeah,
romance, even if it's a series, you really only have to look at the current book you're on and like set yourself up for the future books, but you're not worried about how to continue that plot line because each
yeah.
book should be its own plot line. It's just going to be in that same world in some way.
Right, and because you can't end on a like will they get together or not, or at least a like will they love each other or not kind of like
Definitely
cliffhanger.
not the first book in the
No,
series.
they have to
Yeah.
be together in some way, even if it's not, perfect yet. But so since you can't do that, then you absolutely. I mean, you have a clear plot line, right? Like the romance beats are so easy, whereas like a YA beat sheet is so much more like, well, it's like so what I'm doing right now has to be like a little more thriller oriented, and I have
Mhm.
like more characters that I have to follow, and they have more complicated love triangles or squares, or I don't know, this might
Yeah.
be like an
You also,
octagon.
like, bringing that up, you also have a lot more constraints in it.
Yes, yes.
There are lines that you have to toe.
Oh yeah.
You have to toe them. You can't even say, well, I'm just not going by that line.
Mm-hmm.
Because to get the readers, if you're in certain, just like as an example, if you are in that like fantasy adventure for girls/women, there has to be a romantic plot arc, but you have to like push it just right.
Yeah, right. And oh,
Yeah.
yes. So there's, I mean, there's a whole lot of like, there's a lot of tension without
Yeah.
there being sex in a lot of cases. Or if there is sex, it has to be extremely, extremely careful. Um, so you're yes, but you're constrained by language. You're constrained by like how
Mhm.
much violence you can put into a book,
Yeah.
and then at the same time, the characters have to be solving real problems. So like
Yes.
your readers are also more critical of
Yeah.
whether or not there is a legit plot line. So it's funny, right? Like in your fantasy romance, you get away with so
Oh
much that you
yeah.
just would not
And
get
like you
away with
can write,
otherwise.
I can write really ridiculous things.
Yeah.
Just because I felt like
Oh, and you
it.
can be corny in romance, right?
You can, yeah.
It just like all these coincidences can happen that make people happy.
Yeah. Also, I feel like with romance, like one of my favorite things with it, and I know a lot of authors, even I'm sure in romance, are like gonna be horrified by this statement, but like ending that novel the stupidest way ever, I love doing that. And that's romance. Like you can do that with romance.
you can, as long as they get like true love and a kiss, then you're all
Oh, yeah,
good.
yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally the last four sentences of that book are just like supposed to be the dumbest thing ever, and I love it. It makes it so easy.
It is so the
Yeah.
truth. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But oh, so there's another thing to think about too is I think we've, at least for me, like learning how to target a specific genre and
Oh,
subgenre
that is
and like
huge.
reader.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's been
Yeah.
everything. I mean, that was
Yeah.
I
Writing to market is
yeah.
terrifying and essential.
I think even like understanding what you're writing, like I've been writing to beats, like doing like romance beat sheets with Wesley Ash
Hmm.
all year long. But I recently had a discussion about this with a friend of mine who actually tried to read some of the books, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it's totally chick lit." It's like, it's chick lit. It's not chick lit. It's romance. But then I
Yeah.
thought later, no, she's right. It's chick lit. I'm writing like chick lit romance. So
I'm not surprised at all. Like knowing, like
knowing me,
there's a bunch of your stuff that I have not. Like you're talking about the tasty romance
yeah,
series, right? Yeah, I'm like what you've told me about it. I'm yeah.
yeah. But this was a
Because there's
revelation
always
for
romance
me.
in chicklet. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It didn't occur to me that like maybe I'm really kind of messing that up. Like maybe I
which is
need
funny
to
because
be
also you have chicklet covers for it,
yeah.
and we had like a discussion about that one time.
But I didn't get it, like there was there like it's like for me this is such a like it's like a black box that you're in, right? You've got this little tiny flashlight and you're trying to look at like whatever small bit of the box you can
Yeah.
see with this one little flashlight, and like maybe if you're lucky over time you'll start to learn the entire box, but like most likely you're only going to get like a corner
Hmm.
for, and that's all you have the capacity for. At least that's me. So but okay, we've got like a minute left until our next
Yeah.
thing, so we should
Yeah.
get to that because
Let
I got
me
I got like 400 more words to write.
set that properly. Yeah, I've got 9 more pages to hit my goal for 40%, which obviously those 9 pages will not happen in the next 10 minutes. But I
Maybe.
do have a doable goal for the rest of the evening.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start now, and we'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, let's calculate this. How much are we gonna guess or bet that the UPS truck shows up literally in the next 30 seconds? Because I feel like that might happen
Is
right
that who that phone call was?
now. I don't know. I missed the phone call.
Oh, and they didn't leave a message?
No. Actually, well,
No.
maybe they did. Maybe I should check that out. So caught up in my writing, I'm not even thinking about this. Let's see
Did
if
they
they
leave a
left a
message?
message. That could possibly have happened. Oh, no. It was one of those, like, you have an appointment reminders. Wow, that's really annoying.
Aw, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So did you get words?
Yes. I achieved. Oh, how many words was that time? I just calculated a total. My total for the session is 2,538. So not a bad overall. Yeah, I ended today's session at 5,179. So less than 2,000 to write for the rest of the evening. And again, like, talk about how like Nano is so much different for me. I have like 1,500 words left to write tonight. That's all. That's all I have to do. This was like no problem for me today. It was like no stress. Like, these words are just flowing the way they're supposed to. What about you?
I'm at page 44 of 127.
Very
So
nice.
I am about a third of the way through.
So you are also getting to what you wanted to get to.
Yes. I wanted to be 40% of the way through. So I have 7% to go.
Excellent. So we could both finish this tonight.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So so next week we should talk about things like stuff we've learned how to do in terms of like sales or marketing.
Yes.
Or like big mistakes we've made, or I don't know. We should come up with lists. We'll do something
I agree.
like that.
Yeah.
So if you're joining us, I'm probably gonna like make Chloe spend all of December reflecting on 2019. Because I'm like that, and
no, because we absolutely have to have a day where we talk about what our plans are for 2020.
Oh, you're right. We need the last one to be 2020 plans, because you're like that. Okay, good. So we have things that we're going to talk about, and it's going to be fantastic. And if you're watching, thanks for joining us. This was fun today. Hopefully, you learned all kinds of things over the last year as well.
Yeah. And hopefully, you got words in today.
Also, fact. Yeah. All right. Shall we end our write-in for the day?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do now. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.